And so we're trying to use that data to not spam you, but to give you what you're interested in and offer around that interest when you're interested in that.
Welcome to the Marketing Automation Hustle Podcast, where we break down the essential strategies of email marketing and automation to help e-commerce brands hyper-personalize their customer journey and increase sales on autopilot. So get ready to automate your marketing like a pro with Sendlane's brand marketing manager and your host, Caitlin Hutchinson.
Hey there, listeners. Welcome back to the Marketing Automation Hustle. We have another awesome episode ahead for you today. But of course, per usual, I first want to kindly ask, wherever you're listening to this today, whether it's on YouTube or Spotify or Apple or wherever you stream your podcasts, please be sure to give us a follow, subscribe, leave us a review. That support really means a lot to us, and that's how we get more eyes and ears on this little podcast of ours. So my guest on today's episode is John Merlin. He is the creative director at Fidelitas Development. They're a full-service advertising agency based in downtown San Diego, so they're pretty close by to us. And after spending over a decade working in marketing and design for multi-million-dollar brands and startups alike, John has learned what truly drives conversions and consistent results for his clients. He's also the co-host of the Lion's Share Marketing Podcast, so shout out to another great podcast. Be sure to check that out. And his work has been featured in ABV magazine. So with that hefty intro, welcome, John.
Thanks. Glad to be here.
It's so nice to have you in the studio, another San Diego local.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you become the creative director of Fidelitas? How did you end up where you are right now?
Yeah. So I actually have spent most of my career up in Silicon Valley.
Oh, okay.
And we moved down here. Me and my wife got married, and it was her dream. She grew up down here. She always wanted to come back. And so when the time was right, she got a job down here. She works at the Hard Rock. And,
oh, awesome. I love that hotel.
Yeah.
Spent a lot of my early 20s there, too.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, she loves it there. She loves the team. And so, it was time for me to look for something down here. And I found Fidelitas. And things have been
Fidelitas.
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we're always Fidelitas around here.
Oh, yeah. That's
Fidelitas.
We get a lot of different pronunciations. It comes from the root word fidelity, which means loyalty in Latin. So most of our clients we've had for about 3 years. And so we're really big on loyalty and being great partners for them. And so that's where the name stems from.
Awesome. So give us a little bit of a deeper dive into what you guys do for your clients. I know you kind of are more focused on top funnel.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so we are a full service advertising agency based on downtown. And then what kind of, so we do kind of everything that they need in marketing.
As an agency does.
Yep, absolutely. And what sets us apart from other agencies is we serve as more of a strategic partner for our clients. So instead of saying, here are your 5 Facebook ads and would you like fries like that, we try to really partner with marketing leaders and give them new creative ways to market themselves, to make more revenue. And so we leverage our expertise and really try to guide our clients instead of just taking orders.
So it sounds like you guys are a lot more hands-on.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we're not just like kind of burn and churn. One of the things we're really proud of is how long we have kept each of our clients. Is just because we do really great work. We're always bringing new ideas to the table. They're not wondering what we're doing. And we have really transparent reporting. We like to say we're not afraid to call our own baby ugly. So we'll
I like that phrase. I have to reuse that.
Yeah. So we'll show them the results, whether that's good or bad, but we are extremely ROI focused. And so we need to, for ourselves and for our clients, to show, here's your marketing spend. Here's what you're making off of that. And if they're not making a great investment with their marketing dollars, things need to change. And so we have another saying where winners keep score. And so we keep score of everything, track everything, and have really transparent reporting. So
awesome. So as an agency, obviously part of your role is to kind of keep your clients ahead of the curve, or
Absolutely.
Keep them with the times, with what's happening in the marketing world across a variety of different channels, because it feels like there's something new every day, but we're holding on to a lot of older things like email and putting a different spin on that. So I feel like kind of a buzzword that keeps coming up is hyper personalization.
Yeah.
Like we even played around with that when we were kind of doing a new redesign of our website for Sendlane. We kept trying to focus on that word. We never ended up rolling with it for our main headline, but it's something we really try to teach our own clients. So it seemed like you'd just be the perfect fit for a topic like this because as an agency, you're helping them with everything that's included in their marketing strategy and every single channel. So I kind of wanted to ask you, like, how do you define that for your clients and how do you kind of start them off by creating a brand that feels personal before we even dive into the hyper personal part of it?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people are familiar with personalization email campaigns where you're seeing your first name come up in the subject line or dear so-and-so. And that's just kind of like, I think people would call that just regular personalization.
Yes.
We're kind of at a really cool time right now where we can do hyper personalization. And that's kind of adding in, at least in my experience, that's adding in all of the data from all the other sources, all the other channels, and really utilizing that data to personalize even like a step further. So for instance, like you can now we can track, what pages they've been on, like for browse abandonment emails, or you can see like retargeting efforts. So it's about getting all of your different systems and all the different platforms talking to each other, and then creating hyper personalized campaigns that instead of just seeing a one size fits all approach for email marketing, where you could actually do some powerful segmenting and getting relevant content in front of customers instead of just a one size fits all approach.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels like that's such a big thing right now too, because I'm getting SMS marketing messages and email marketing and Facebook ads and Twitter ads and Google ads and everything under the sun. It's like you have all these different brands in your face all the time.
Right.
So it almost seems like there's this huge focus on hyper personalizing things beyond a first name because it's gotten to the point where it's like, you guys should know us now.
Right.
You should know what I click on, what pages I'm viewing, where I'm at in my buying cycle. You guys should know all this,
Right. Yeah. And that's true. And most people don't like getting, marketing emails or SMS if it's like a one size fits all approach, because most of the time it's not going to be relevant to you. It's going to be about the product that the company's pushing, not the product that you are interested in. So using hyper personalization, if the person is looking for that specific product, you can give them that information or give them even an offer around that product at the right time when they're looking. And you could have it all automated, so it's not one person tracking you. It's just all set up that way.
Like we saw that you were looking at this specific pair of shoes. Here they are following you around on Facebook. Here they are following you around on Google. They're in your inbox. We're sending you an SMS with a discount to complete your checkout. It's bringing all of those different channels in. And we like to call it around here like having an element of creepiness, because that's kind of, if you're not doing that, you're probably not doing your marketing right these days. And if customers care about your brand, it's okay to be that creepy, stalker guy following everyone around the internet.
So there's definitely a fine line. And I don't think a lot of consumers are aware of all the information that's out there about them. And I think
they're definitely not.
Yeah, people are really surprised how much information is out there. But I think it's about trying to find the best way to utilize that in a non-creepy way.
Yeah.
Like for instance, when someone signs up for your newsletter, you know where their IP address is, like what time, what browser, what everything. But it's up to you to like not use that information in a creepy way, and instead use, like, at the end of the day, you're always trying to add value, whether that's to our customers or to their clients. We're trying to add value. So an advertisement or an email can sometimes be like boring or irrelevant to them. But if you've tailored it to what they're actually interested in, then it's actually, you're adding them value.
Yes, exactly. Obviously, like you never want to put that super personal information in their face.
Yeah.
So to backtrack on what I was saying about being creepy, I think it's just that, my mom says this a lot as somebody who doesn't really understand how technology works. So I kind of explained to her how these things work. And it's like, well, you really love that brand, right?
Yeah.
And you bought something from that, then I guess it's working. So, It's
Exactly.
so I think, like you said, it's having that fine line, but also focusing on the people that
Yeah.
are most likely to actually make a purchase, not wasting your marketing spend on people who are never going to convert.
Right. Yeah. And the people who aren't interested in those emails, like we don't, if you're not interested, we don't want to really send it to you. You
Yeah.
know, we're trying to, we don't believe that brand loyalty is dead, and people do get really excited about certain products, about certain things, or they're ready to make a purchase, or like they're ready to buy new shoes or ready, whatever. It doesn't make sense for you to send them an email on every single shoe in your whole catalog. What I want to get in my email address is just the styles that I was looking at online,
Yep.
or just the colors or the brands. Like, we have preferences, so we should be sending emails to people around their preferences instead of here's every shoe we have in our catalog.
Yes, I totally agree. And it also seems like e-commerce is such a huge focus right now because, brick and mortar is kind of
Dying,
making
sadly.
its way
Yeah.
out. There's a few brands that have figured out how to kind of revive themselves
Yeah.
in today's world. But for the most part, I see a lot of them going out, and I don't even like going to a physical store. It's
Yeah.
too easy to shop online. It's too easy to buy out of my email.
Right.
So I feel like it's also about facilitating the buying process
Right.
for your website visitors, for your current customers, and making
Absolutely.
it even easier for them to spend their money.
It's true.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just the way the world is going.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any specific clients that you might be open to talking about a little bit? Like ways that you've helped them kind of up their marketing game, especially when it comes to creating more of a personal strategy and using all these things we've been talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And if any of the listeners are interested, we have a full capabilities deck that we're happy to send out, which with a plethora of examples of like wins for our clients and things that we've done for them and the ROIs. But just a couple examples we like to work in spaces that are a little bit more challenging. So we partner with a lot of CBD brands and firearms and a lot of places that other agencies won't touch, because it's harder to market for them because there's so many rules on Facebook.
Yeah.
There's so many rules on what you can and can't do.
Yes.
But we really like those challenges. So for Facts and Firearms, one of our email clients, we've given them like a 60x ROI on their email campaigns and their investment. And we've partly done that through hyper personalization, and that's by you can see what products they've been browsing, so you send them stuff around those products, or just like instead of just your popular products, but what products are popular to the people who are buying that product. So just utilizing all the data that's collected on the back end, but using that in a smart way to help deliver emails on.
Awesome. And we're like that here at Sendlane, as you know.
Yeah.
That's a great way to kind of get into this space and get yourself out there as well,
Yeah.
by being like, hey, we want to help you with this struggle you're facing, especially having such an interesting product that's a little controversial.
Right.
So that's a super interesting space. So is it email marketing that you're just facilitating for them, or do they do other types of advertising?
Yeah, for that brand, we're just doing their email.
Email? Okay.
For we've partnered with a CBD brand recently, and we've tripled their email revenue in the past 90 days.
Wow.
So they're really excited about that, and we're doing other things with them where we're doing retargeting. We're doing Facebook ads, but in a way that comply with Facebook rules.
Yeah.
So like where you can't.
There's workarounds.
Yeah,
around
you
these
can't
things.
sell ingestible hemp, but it's okay for topical hemp.
Oh,
So
interesting. I didn't know that.
But you can't have clicks that are. Yeah, there's lots of different like little rules around everything, but it's about finding out what those rules are, what's okay, what's not, and then finding creative solution to get around that, because CBD is a space that people are really interested in right now, and it's kind of blown up. And so,
especially, we're in San Diego right now, guys. Like, this is a topic in Southern California for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so it's, we are finding ways through retargeting ads and Facebook ads to capture emails and then complete those transactions through the email platform.
Okay, so what were they? I kind of want to back up a little bit before you worked all your email marketing magic for them. What did their email strategy look like before they got to you? Because I feel like everyone listening is like, great, that's so awesome. That's what I want. But what did they change to get there?
Yeah. And it kind of all revolves around kind of what you guys do here. And that's all around email automation.
Yeah.
And so we've just set up a lot of email, a lot of brands' marketing strategy is, we'll send a monthly newsletter.
Yeah.
6 times
really
a year.
generic stuff.
Right. So they really don't have much of a strategy. They're
Yeah.
pushing emails out, but they're more using it for their platform to just talk about whatever they're interested in, instead of like tailoring their message to add value to their customers. So we did that through building out customized, welcome flows and abandoned carts, and based off of, how much they've spent or where they got into the funnel. We have targeted messages for each of those segments, essentially.
Awesome. So yeah, it sounds like it's just a lack of know-how.
Yeah,
a lot
exactly.
of times, and that's also the purpose of this podcast and all the different content that we've been putting out, is to just create a conversation about how to do things.
Right.
I think there's a lot of people out there where these feel, I say this on every podcast because it depends on where you're at in your business.
Yeah.
But these can sound like kind of complicated things, but that's why you have the Fidelitas, the Sendlanes, all of those different platforms, companies out there that can help you figure out how to do this stuff.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a solo person trying to figure out the marketing world.
Yeah. And the fantastic stuff about email automation is you set it up like once. It's not like you're writing a brand new newsletter every week or every month. Those are going out to those customers all the time. It's going out at 1 a.m. It's going out whenever those triggers. So it's talking to people when they're at the right spot in that journey. Yeah. And it's doing it passively.
Yeah.
It's a revenue engine that you set up and it keeps going.
Yeah.
And you're not recreating the wheel. What you're now doing is really optimizing those flows. You're doing testing. You're trying new things to increase the performance of those things and coming up with new creative segments and flows to get people to talk to people more often.
Exactly. And it becomes extra motivating and exciting when you set something like that up and you see it working.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is why everybody keeps talking about this,
Right. And it's about utilizing those emails, like those welcome emails that people just like, just a simple email. But like those sometimes have like incredible open rates. So why not like use hyper personalization in your welcome flows as well, or find other ways to utilize those tools to make them work for you, but also add value to the clients.
I totally agree. So how do you think technology is kind of changing the game? Like we're ending 2019, we're going into 2020. So as far as what's coming, especially from an agency perspective and really being involved in so many different brands' marketing strategy, where do you kind of see this whole personalization trend heading, like in the coming year?
Well, you hit the nail on the head earlier. You're absolutely right that hyper personalization is kind of a buzzword recently, and it is something that people are excited about. But as you and me both know, most brands aren't actually utilizing it yet.
Yes.
And before,
or they think they are.
Yes.
I think that's part of it as well.
They don't know of all the opportunities.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, like you said earlier, well, I use their first name, in the email, so I'm personalizing it.
And that's just scratching the surface.
When really it's all about, like you said, going back to the data, and you're collecting so much data off all these different platforms. Yeah. So it's like, if it's just sitting there, that is money just floating away.
And, before, really the only people that could afford or had the access to do hyper personalization were the big brands with giant budgets like Amazon and Netflix and Starbucks. But now with all of like the smart e-commerce platforms out there and with all of the great third-party integrations, you could really get all of your systems out there that's automatically passively collecting that data. You can get them to all talk to each other and integrate it together and really use that to create some really advanced segments. And so I think some marketing people will think that that's only the big brands can afford to do that. But really one-person startups can start using hyper personalization.
100%. And like the integrations, like you said, that part is huge. You know, even at Sendlane, that's why we always put so much emphasis on all the integrations that we have. It's like we're all carrying so much data about your customers, and we can bring that all together for you and work together with these other guys. So it's not like everything has to live so separately.
And once again, not in a creepy way, we're gathering all this data, but
Buzzword
really,
creepy.
but we're doing it in a way that really is trying to give people what they want and when they want it.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to use that data to not spam you, but to give you what you're interested in and offer around that interest when you're interested in that.
Exactly. And I was just thinking, I had another episode, one of our past episodes, Jimmy, our CEO, we were chatting about just the Gmail, folders and the inbox, and just how it's recognizing who's opening your emails, who's engaging with them. Yeah. And it's deciding on its own who to display in your inbox.
Absolutely.
So there's not even a huge guarantee of, well, how do I land my emails in the inbox? It's like you got to put the effort in to understand who you're emailing and who you're talking to, and make it open worthy and click worthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you have to be adding value. And and so, Gmail, you're right, is making those decisions for them. So if you're not interacting with the brand, they're not going to show you that stuff.
Totally.
So you're right. You can't just send out emails and and cross your fingers. Like, you really want to send out stuff that's really valuable, that people will open, that people are looking forward to, and you really want to be consistent in your email platform as well. Like, it should feel the same as all the rest of your brand touch points.
Totally.
But yeah, going back to your original question, I think one of the trends going into 2020 is, I feel like most companies have SMS now in their pipeline, whether they're releasing that or already have that. And I know you guys have that functionality.
It honestly comes up in every podcast episode. So that's even how I gauge, what's really popular and what's working right now, is every expert that I sit down with that's in a completely different, field of what we're talking about. SMS keeps coming up.
Yep.
So I totally agree. It seems like, and we've already seen the stats from it.
Yep.
I had Retention Rocket in here, and they were just talking about how SMS kind of shocked them that it actually worked so well, and that's why they're even doing SMS now.
Yep.
So,
And it's really cool now that you can, in platforms like Sendlane, you can combine the two. You could use that data, and instead of just sending someone an email, you could send them an SMS. Now, obviously, since it's a different platform, you need to be very careful with how you use it, how many texts you send out. Is it valuable stuff?
Don't be annoying.
Right, exactly, because that's the quickest way to get you to unsubscribe. But really, if you think about it, some people are comfortable with having an inbox with hundreds of unread messages.
Yeah.
Like, that notification icon doesn't bother them. But if there's like a little red one on your messages, people check that immediately.
That is me.
Yeah.
It sparks my OCD.
Absolutely.
I cannot, whether it's a text, whether it's an email, I cannot leave it unread. It drives me crazy. So I definitely know where you're coming from on that.
But I mean, I've had brands do that with me, where if they don't do it for every sale, but if they have a really exceptional sale, they'll push that out through SMS. And I consider that valuable, because I might not have checked my email. I might not have seen them on social or whatever. But the fact that they're sending me that value, I think people enjoy stuff like that when it's significant.
Yeah. And I mean, I think of one brand right now specifically that I get, World Market. I love, shopping. I know that they send SMS pretty regularly. And I always think about that brand when I have this conversation, because I never mind getting their text.
Yeah.
Because it's a store I frequent pretty often. So I read every single SMS.
That's
so
awesome.
It just goes back to just doing that with the people that care.
Right.
Then you're not being a nuisance. If somebody loves your product, they're not going to mind you, landing in their inbox, landing on their phone as frequently as possible even. It just depends on the contact.
Yeah, and it's funny that SMS is making a resurgence, because I mean, you could do this sort of stuff 10 years ago, like it's not new technology, but I think now we're at an interesting intersection where we can combine that big data. We can combine machine learning about when people are ready, primed to make their next purchase or other things like that, and really utilize SMS in more of a, just like I was talking about before, in a not one size fits all approach, but utilizing SMS where it makes sense in those automated flows.
Totally. And I'm really interested to see how the SMS channel grows.
Yeah, me too.
Because back when email was brand new, it was very basic. Even when email marketing, that was probably long before I even knew what email marketing was. But even when that became a thing, I can only imagine that messages were pretty simple with maybe a hyperlink. And now you look at these crazy HTML emails with GIFs and everything.
Gorgeous.
So it makes me just curious to see where SMS is going to go and get even more personalized. So especially with the way, the iPhones are going.
Right.
It's only a matter of time.
Yeah.
So I did want to ask you, just because, it seems like as a brand, you want to get people to spend the most amount of time as possible on your website, yet it's like the entire engagement piece is cross-channel, like we've been talking.
Right.
So it's like you're spread out across a variety of different channels that don't belong to you. Like we already talked about Facebook, Google, Gmail, everything. So what would your recommendation be to an e-commerce marketer kind of approaching this and trying to keep their brand and that whole aspect of personalization congruent throughout all these channels that are kind of ultimately controlling everything?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we try to do at Fidelitas is we think one of the most valuable assets for a company is their email list. There's so many cross-channel marketing. There's lots of different places where you're interacting with consumers, but some of it is owned space and some of it is rented space. Your own space would be things like your website and your email list. You own those and you get to control those. But the rented space like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, that stuff can go away tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we try to use our rented spaces as more of customer acquisition. That's where we're trying to find new customers and bring them in and get them involved in our email list or other things. But just like, before when you, a while ago when you were on Facebook and you liked a page, then that page was able to market to you. And then Facebook quickly turned that off. And now those brands have to pay for ads to get those same eyeballs.
Yes.
And so really on any of those other channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, they can change their policies tomorrow. And if you're building your platform on there, you're going to be in a world of hurt. But if you're using that platform as more to get your voice out there, to get your consistent brand and to acquire customers and then bring them into your own space where, people keep the same email. Like I see some emails where, they're probably embarrassed about the email address, but people don't change them a lot. Like you get an email address and you keep that for a long time.
Yeah.
So getting that person's email address is a great way to just stay in front of them in your own. That's a list that you own.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. I especially, love that that's where you're, getting new customers is all the other different spaces that you can advertise, but really using email to nurture that person towards the purchase.
Absolutely.
Especially since, email is really easy to get from people. We're so you got to use it to sign up for anything.
Yep.
Create an account on an app, log in somewhere online,
So
get
people
a
are
discount.
comfortable giving that out.
Yeah, it seems like we're so comfortable giving out our email. I love that that's a focus for you guys.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sendlane, it's a focus for us here. But we also do encourage people, you should be using a variety of channels.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But definitely make sure you've got a really strong email strategy in place, because all that data is going to end up in that inbox and facilitate the purchase. And the purchase is what you want as a company. That's what you're after.
Absolutely. And so I think it's really important for brands who are cross-channel to make sure that no matter where the customer is interacting with you, that brand experience feels the same. So obviously you're going to talk to someone different over a text where you would in email, or over Twitter where the characters are defined, or each platform has its own sort of language that you need to use.
Totally.
But you want to make sure that at each touch point, people are having the same customer experience, their same brand experience with you, and that you're very consistent in that area.
That's a great piece of advice. And actually, I was going to ask you, to just wrap up everything, I was going to ask if you had a pro tip for any e-commerce brands or marketers that are listening, what they should be paying attention to the most. But it sounds like that's it. Just having a consistent brand feel and messaging across all of your channels.
Right.
And that's also going to really create a personal experience, because now it's like a familiar face they're seeing all the time.
Yep.
And that's what we're really after going into 2020, just continuously creating that relationship with customers.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for being here, John.
Of course.
And of course, before we wrap up our little chat, I want to make sure that you have time to let any of our listeners know where they can go to check out you guys, get started with you, what your offering is and everything. So.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone is interested in, we work with Sendlane and a bunch of e-commerce platforms. So if anyone's interested, please go to fidelisdevelopment.com and contact us through any of our social channels or any other channel like that. And like I said earlier in the episode, if you are interested in specific information about the results we've gotten for our clients, we have a capabilities deck that we send out.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being here and coming in and sharing your expertise and everything. We're always talking about personalization here. It's such a huge topic with everything that's been put out across a variety of channels like we've been talking. So I think this is a really valuable piece of content, educational episode for people to listen to. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it.
Awesome.
And for our listeners, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you have any feedback or questions for myself or for John, I can definitely funnel those questions over to him. You can shoot me an email directly at caitlin@sendlane.com, and I'd be more than happy to get back to you, or, spark a conversation with John if you're interested in getting in touch with him. And if you have any topics that you're interested in, or any specific maybe guests you have in mind, please let me know, because that's the whole point of this podcast, is to create content that is educational for you and really helpful for you. So that, again, that's Caitlin@sendlane.com. And please be sure to stay tuned for Ecom Email Academy. It's launching really soon. So be sure to tune in to our episode next week, and I'll give you all the details you need to sign up for that and get started on that course. It's going to be a really valuable email marketing course for e-commerce marketers. It'll go over all the different things that I talked about with John on this episode, but get really granular on them and give you a step-by-step walkthrough on how to do those things inside of an email marketing platform. So be sure to tune in next week, and I'll give you the details on that. And of course, if you want to give Sendlane a try, head to sendlane.net/hustle and take a test drive of our platform for free. No credit card required, 14-day free trial for you. And thank you so much for listening. We will catch you next time on the Marketing Automation Hustle.